The silence of deep space had become Marcus Webb's only companion. For 3 years, he had drifted between forgotten stations, cleaning corridors that no living soul would ever walk again. His mop scraped against corroded metal floors, echoing through chambers where civilizations once thrived. Station Epsilon 7 floated like a corpse in the void, its lights long extinguished, its purpose erased by time. Marcus didn't mind the loneliness. It paid well enough, and nobody asked questions about a man who preferred the company of ghosts. His scanner flickered as he approached Section Delta, a restricted hangar he'd been explicitly told to avoid. Corporate protocols meant nothing out here, not when you were 6 months from the nearest checkpoint. Curiosity gnawed at him as he overrode the rusted blast doors, their hydraulics screaming in protest. The chamber beyond stretched into darkness, vast enough to swallow starships. His headlamp cut through centuries of dust, illuminating something that made his breath catch in his throat. A titan knelt in the shadows, easily 30 feet tall, its form humanoid but unmistakably artificial. Armor plates hung from massive shoulders like the petals of a dying flower. One arm was missing entirely, torn away by some ancient violence. Its head was bowed, as if in prayer or defeat, and across its chest cavity gaped wounds that spoke of desperate final battles. Dust had claimed it completely, transforming the war machine into a monument to forgotten glory. Marcus should have left. Every instinct screamed at him to seal the doors and pretend he'd never seen this thing. But something in its posture, the way it knelt, almost peaceful, called to him with a voice older than words. He approached slowly, his boots leaving prints in the undisturbed dust. Up close, he could see the craftsmanship that had gone into its construction. This wasn't some mass-produced combat drone. Each plate had been individually forged, engraved with symbols he couldn't read. Behind cracked optics, he thought he saw the faintest flicker of light, like embers refusing to die. His hand trembled as he reached for his repair kit. This was insane. He was a janitor, not an engineer. But his father had been a shipwright, and some skills ran deeper than education. Tools clattered in his shaking hands as he began to examine the damage, telling himself he was just looking, just curious, just... The walls bore scratches. Not random damage from combat, but deliberate marks carved with precision, human letters, worn but legible. To whoever finds this, the Guardian must wake. We failed. Don't let it end here. Marcus's heart hammered against his ribs. Who had written this? How long ago? The hangar felt suddenly smaller, the darkness pressing in with the weight of expectation. Strange sounds echoed from the far walls. Whispers that might have been air circulation, or might have been something else entirely. He'd been alone too long, he told himself. Space did things to a man's mind. He worked by instinct more than knowledge, replacing burned circuits with components scavenged from his repair bag. The Guardian's systems were ancient, but elegant, designed with a logic that felt almost intuitive. Hours blurred together as he welded connections, rerouted power conduits, and prayed to whatever gods watched over fools. Sparks cascaded around him like dying stars as the machine's chest cavity hummed to life. The single remaining optic blazed suddenly crimson, flooding the hangar with blood-red light that seemed to pierce straight through Marcus's skull. The Guardian's voice emerged from speakers that hadn't functioned in millennia, deep and resonant as an earthquake. Heir of fire, keeper of the flame, you have awakened the last guardian of the Kethran Empire. Marcus stumbled backward, his tools scattering across the floor. The robot's head lifted, servos grinding with the effort, focusing its burning gaze upon him. I'm nobody, Marcus stammered. I clean floors. I'm just a janitor. But the Guardian moved, its massive frame unfolding with surprising grace, despite obvious damage. It knelt before him, bringing its face level with his. You are the one who refused to let me die forgotten. That makes you more than any title could. Images flooded Marcus's mind. Not memories, but data streams forcing their way into his consciousness. He saw fleets burning, worlds crumbling, an empire spanning galaxies torn apart by something vast and hungry. The Kethran had built the Guardians as their last defense, sentinels posted at the edge of darkness. This one had stood alone for 10,000 years, waiting for orders that would never come, hoping for relief that had turned to dust. Marcus collapsed to his knees, gasping, tears streaming down his face from the overwhelming weight of ages. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry you were left here." The Guardian's optic dimmed slightly, and its voice carried something that might have been surprise. "You grieve for me? For a machine?" Marcus laughed bitterly. "You're more alive than most people I've known. You deserve better than this tomb." The robot was silent for a long moment. "My protocols designated me protector of an empire. That empire is gone. My purpose ended millennia ago. Yet you restored me. Why?" Marcus wiped his eyes. "Because leaving you here, alone and forgotten, felt wrong. Everyone deserves to be remembered." The answer pleased the Guardian, or perhaps confused it. Its systems hadn't been designed to process compassion from lesser beings. "I carry the complete archives of my people. Military strategies, technological innovations, the accumulated wisdom of 3 million years. I waited for someone worthy to receive this legacy." It paused, then added with something approaching humor, "I did not expect that someone to arrive with a mop." The station shuddered. Alarms that had been dead for centuries suddenly screamed to life. The Guardian's head snapped up, its optic blazing bright. No, they detected the activation sequence. After all this time, they still watch. Marcus felt ice flood his veins. Who? Who watches? The Guardian's voice hardened. "The ones who destroyed my empire, the Devourers. They cannot allow any Guardian to wake. They will come with everything they have." Through the hangar's cracked viewports, Marcus saw them, sleek shapes cutting through the void like sharks sensing blood. Their hulls were impossibly black, drinking in starlight rather than reflecting it. 10 ships. 20. More appearing every second, their weapons already beginning to glow. "I've doomed us both," Marcus whispered. The station wasn't armed. He wasn't a soldier. This ancient robot could barely stand. They were going to die here, and it was his fault for playing with things he didn't understand. The Guardian placed one massive hand on the floor beside Marcus, almost gently. "Do not despair, heir of fire. You gave me one last chance to fulfill my purpose, to stand once more between humanity and darkness. That is enough." Its eye blazed brighter. "This station was not always abandoned. Hidden armaments still sleep in its bones. With your help, we might survive the first wave." Marcus's mind reeled. First wave? How many waves were coming? But the Guardian was already accessing systems, bringing ancient weapons online through sheer force of will. Turrets emerged from the station's hull like thorns from a rose, their mechanisms grinding after millennia of stillness. "Guide me," the Guardian commanded. "Your hands are steady, mine are broken. Together we are whole." There was no time to argue. Marcus sprinted through corridors he'd cleaned 1,000 times, now seeing them with new eyes. Control panels he'd assumed were dead responded to his touch, guided by the Guardian's instructions thundering through emergency speakers. He rerouted power, primed firing solutions, and activated defense grids while his heart tried to hammer its way out of his chest. The first alien scouts hit the station's shields like meteors, their impacts sending tremors through the superstructure. The Guardian fought from its position in the hangar, directing defensive fire with tactical genius that had been forged in wars before humanity learned to make fire. But it was damaged, slow, fighting with one arm against enemies designed to kill its kind. Marcus watched through security feeds as aliens breached the outer hull, things of claw and fang and terrible purpose. The Guardian met them in the corridors, crushing and tearing despite its wounds. But for every alien it destroyed, two more poured through the breaches. Marcus grabbed his welding torch and repair kit. He'd spent 3 years fixing broken machines. This wasn't different. This was just one more repair job, the biggest repair job of his life. He found the Guardian backed against a bulkhead, surrounded by alien corpses and fresh damage. Without a word, Marcus began welding armor plates torn from the walls onto the Guardian's frame. Sparks flew around them as the Guardian held off another wave, buying seconds that Marcus transformed into reinforced plating. "You should run," the Guardian said, its voice strained. "Save yourself. I can hold them while you reach an escape pod." Marcus didn't stop welding. "Shut up and hold still. I'm not done with you yet." The aliens paused, their insectoid heads tilting in confusion. One spoke through a translator, its voice dripping contempt. "A human janitor defends the Guardian. How far the mighty have fallen." The Guardian's response shook the corridor. "This human shows more courage in his smallest action than your entire species has demonstrated in 10 millennia. He is more than you will ever understand." The battle raged for hours. Marcus welded and repaired while the Guardian fought, their actions flowing together like a dance they'd practiced for lifetimes. His makeshift repairs weren't elegant, but they held. More importantly, they worked. The tide of combat shifted as the Guardian, reinforced by human ingenuity and desperation, began to push back. Alien commanders watched in disbelief as their prey became predator, as a broken relic and a lone human turned their assured victory into bloody stalemate. But eventually, numbers would tell. The Guardian's systems were failing despite Marcus's efforts. The station's weapons were running dry. More alien ships appeared on sensors, a fleet large enough to crack planets. The Guardian turned its flickering optic to Marcus. "There is a final option. This station contains a weapon capable of annihilating the enemy fleet. It was meant as a last resort, to be triggered only when all hope was lost." Marcus felt cold dread settle in his stomach. "What's the catch?" The Guardian's silence was answer enough. "The weapon will destroy the station, and everyone on it." Marcus sat down heavily against the wall, his hands covered in burns and cuts, his lungs aching from smoke and exertion. He'd come here to clean floors. Now he was being asked to die to save people who didn't even know this battle was happening. The Guardian knelt beside him. "You have given me more than I deserved. Let me give you the chance to escape. I can activate the weapon. You can reach the pods." Marcus shook his head slowly. "That's not why I fixed you. I didn't wake you up just so you could die alone again." They sat in silence while alien forces prepared for their final assault. Then Marcus spoke, his voice quiet but certain. "What if there's another way? What if we don't have to destroy them?" The Guardian's optic flickered. "They are devourers. They know only consumption and conquest." Marcus stood, wincing at his injuries. "Then maybe it's time someone taught them something new. You said your people's wisdom is stored in you, right? Everything they learned in 3 million years." The Guardian processed this. "Yes, scientific advancement, technological marvels, military strategy." Marcus smiled. "And that's what they want, isn't it? They don't hate you. They fear what you represent. They destroy Guardians because they can't allow that knowledge to spread." He looked at the ancient machine with sudden understanding. What if we offered to share it? The Guardian systems actually stuttered, caught between protocols written before humanity existed and something new it had never considered. "Share? With the enemy? My programming?" Marcus cut it off. "Your programming was written by people who are dead. By an empire that fell. Maybe they got it wrong. Maybe the reason they fell was because they never tried talking first." For a long moment, the Guardian was utterly still. Then something extraordinary happened. Its optic changed color, shifting from blood red to brilliant gold. In 3 million years of records, no one ever suggested this. No one ever chose compassion over victory. Its voice carried something new, wonder. Perhaps that is why my people fell. They forgot how to be anything but warriors. Marcus activated the station's communication array, his hands shaking from exhaustion and terror and desperate hope. The alien fleet surrounded them, weapons charged, ready to erase this last vestige of their ancient enemy. He broadcast on all frequencies, his voice raw but steady. "This is Marcus Webb. I'm a janitor. I woke something up that's been asleep for a long time, and now you want to kill us for it. But what if we offered you something better than death?" The alien commander appeared on the view screen, its features unreadable, but its posture radiating murderous intent. "What could you possibly offer that would stay our hand?" Marcus gestured to the Guardian. "Knowledge, not as a weapon, but as a gift. Everything the Kethran learned, medicine, engineering, philosophy, the Guardian has been alone for 10,000 years. Don't you think it's tired of war? Don't you think it wants to build instead of destroy?" The commander's mandibles clicked in what might have been laughter or rage. "And you trust us not to weaponize this knowledge?" Marcus shrugged. "No, but I trust that somewhere in your species, someone is tired of fighting. Someone wants their children to grow up without war. Someone wants to create something beautiful instead of watching everything burn. I'm betting on that someone existing because I have to believe it's true. Because if it's not, then what's the point of any of this?" The silence stretched. The Guardian stood beside Marcus, its golden optic blazing like a star. Finally, the alien commander spoke, its voice carrying a weight of ages. "You are either the bravest being I have ever encountered, or the most foolish." It paused. Perhaps both. Perhaps that is what humanity is. The fleet held position, weapons still charged but no longer targeting. "We will consider your offer. If you betray us—" Marcus nodded. "Then you'll destroy us. I get it. But maybe, just maybe, we can all try being something other than what we've always been." The Guardian knelt before Marcus, lowering its head in a gesture of profound respect. Its voice carried across every frequency, ensuring the alien fleet heard every word. "For 10,000 years, I have awaited orders. For 10,000 years, I have prepared for war. In all that time, no Kethran ever showed me the wisdom this human janitor demonstrated in a single day." Its optic blazed brighter. "I declare humanity worthy to inherit the Guardian legacy, not through conquest, but through compassion. Not through strength, but through the courage to choose mercy when destruction would be easier." The alien ships began to withdraw, slowly, their weapons powering down. The commander's image flickered. "We will send representatives to negotiate. This changes nothing, Janitor. But perhaps it changes everything." The screen went dark. Marcus collapsed against the Guardian's leg, every muscle screaming, his mind struggling to process what had just happened. They'd survived. Against impossible odds, with nothing but hope and stubborn refusal to accept death, they'd survived. The station came alive around them. Systems that had slumbered for millennia awakened, lights cascading through corridors like dawn, spreading across a world. Archives containing the wisdom of ages began to unspool, their treasures finally ready to be shared. The Guardian stood in the center of the hangar, no longer a relic of war, but a bridge between past and future. Marcus looked up at it and laughed, the sound slightly hysterical. "I came here to clean. Guess the mess just got a lot bigger." The Guardian's voice carried warmth that its creators had never programmed. "Then we shall clean it together, Marcus Webb. The greatest mess in the galaxy, 10,000 years of hatred and fear. But with human stubbornness and ancient wisdom, perhaps we can make something beautiful from the ruins." Its optic dimmed to a gentle glow. "Thank you for refusing to let me die alone, for teaching this old warrior that there are battles worth winning without firing a single shot." Marcus looked down at his stained janitor's uniform, at his scarred hands and battered equipment. Somewhere out there, humanity went about its business, unaware that one of their own had just changed the course of galactic history, armed with nothing but a welding torch and the absolute conviction that everyone deserved a second chance. He smiled, exhausted and terrified, and filled with hope he'd never dared to feel before. "Guess it's my mess to clean up now. Better get started."